Nottingham Forest versus Man United prediction. Will Red Devils' hot streak continue? Nottingham Forest versus Man United, the key stats. Nottingham Forest narrowly edged out Manchester United in 38.1% of pre-match simulations by the Opta supercomputer. Forest have lost 6 of their last 7 Premier League matches, including the last 4 in a row without scoring. Only Erling Haaland and Mohamed Salah have more Premier League goal involvements in 2025 than Bryan Mbeumo. Ruben Amorim will hope to keep the good times rolling as an in-form Manchester United had to struggling Nottingham Forest on Saturday. United backed up their impressive scalp of Liverpool at Anfield with a 4-2 victory over Brighton and Hove Albion last Saturday, making it 3 straight Premier League wins for the first time in Amorim's tenure. Including their 2-0 win over Sunderland, this marks United's best winning run in a single season since a streak of 4 in February 2024. The Red Devils were one of just 3 sides to win 100% of their games in October, along with Arsenal and Aston Villa, and have jumped up to 6th in the table. In fact, only leaders Arsenal, 16, have picked up more Premier League points from United from match day 3 onwards, 15 wins 5, lost 2. Amorim's side are also the leading scorers in the division in that time, 14 after smashing 4 past Brighton last time out. Bryan Mbeumo was twice on target along with a deflected strike from Casemiro and a well-taken opener from Matheus Cunha as United cooled any hopes of a late Brighton fightback. Cunha's first top-flight goal for United displayed all the quality that saw Amorim so keen to sign the Brazilian. His 7 goals from outside the box since the start of last season make up more than any other Premier League player in all competitions. More concerningly for Forest, who sit 18th, Cunha has been involved in 7 goals in his last 4 appearances against teams starting the day in the relegation zone, 3 goals and 4 assists. All those involvements came for former club Wolves between April 2024 and April 2025. Bryan Mbeumo has also either scored or assisted in each of his last 3 league outings for United, 3 goals, 1 assist. On top of that, only Erling Haaland, 19 goals, 3 assists, and Mohamed Salah, 15 goals, 7 assists, have been involved in more Premier League goals in 2025 than Mbeumo, 14 goals, 6 assists. It is a completely different story for Forest, whose first Premier League outing under new boss Sean Dyche ended in a timid 2-0 defeat away to Bournemouth last weekend. Optimism had built after Dyche's first game after replacing Ange Postecoglou ended in a 2-0 victory over Porto in the UEFA Europa League, but his new side were then well off the pace in a one-sided contest at the Vitality Stadium. Only Morgan Gibbs-White went close to scoring against Bournemouth as Forest played 16.9% of their passes long in a completely contrasting style to the same metric under Postecoglou, 8.5%. Underlining the change in tactics, goalkeeper Mott Sells played 25 long passes versus Bournemouth, the highest by a Forest player in a game this season. That change in plan could not stop Forest falling to a 6th defeat from their last 7 Premier League matches, D1, including 4 losses in a row without scoring. They have not lost 5 in a row since October 2022, while Forest last suffered 5 league defeats in a row without a goal back in January 2004 in the Championship. Their lack of clinical edge, of course, is the main concern. Forest scored 3 goals from 7 first-half shots in their opening Premier League win against Brentford, 43% conversion. But in their 17 halves of football since then, they have scored just 2 goals from 93 shots, 2%. Dyche has been trusted to turn a flailing ship around, but he has seen his teams fail to score in 10 of his last 14 Premier League games in charge, 9-13 with Everton, 1-1 with Forest. That poor scoring record is in keeping with his career, however, and by no means suggests a turnaround is imminent. Among managers to take charge of 150-plus matches in the competition's history, Deitch has the lowest goals per game rate, 0.97 games per game, 323 goals in 334 games. Deitch will hope Chris Wood can return to share the attacking burden along with a comeback for loanee Alexander Zinchenko. Ola Aina won't feature until early next year, however. Meanwhile, Amorim's medical team will run the rule over Harry Maguire late before Saturday's contest, while Lisandro Martinez has returned to training for a long-term knee issue, though this game will come too soon for him. Nottingham Forest versus Man United head-to-head. Indeed, Forest have won their last 3 league games against United, but have not managed 4 consecutive wins against the Red Devils since 1910. United have lost their last 2 league games at the City Ground, but have not lost 3 in a row away to Forest since doing so between August 1965 and October 1967. Tottenham versus Chelsea prediction. Can Thomas Frank's side go second in the Premier League? Tottenham versus Chelsea, the key stats. The Okta supercomputer struggles to separate these London rivals, with Chelsea's 40.4% win probability making them slight favorites over Tottenham. Chelsea have earned more victories at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium than any other visiting side, winning on 5 of 6 Premier League trips there. Tottenham has as many victories in 9 league games under Thomas Frank, 5, as they managed in their final 26 matches under Ange Postecoglou. Whisper it quietly, but could Arsenal's main rivals for the Premier League title be their closest neighbors? With Liverpool's downturn morphing into a full-blown crisis and Manchester City still alternating between the sublime and the frustrating, Arsenal hold a 4-point advantage at the summit ahead of matchday 10 and are assigned a 68.2% chance of winning the title by the Opta supercomputer. Now, the supercomputer does not hold much faith in Tottenham's title hopes, which are rated at just 1.1%, but a victory over Chelsea would ensure Thomas Frank's side end Saturday second in the table. They sit 5 points behind the Gunners and 1 off Bournemouth, who visit Man City on Sunday, following last week's 3-0 win at Everton, which made them the first visiting team to take 3 points at Hill Dickinson Stadium. Mickey van de Ven netted twice from corners in that game, becoming the first Spurs defender to score a brace in a Premier League match since Jan Vertonghen in March 2013 against Liverpool. The Dutchman's next Premier League appearance will be his 50th in the competition, and Spurs have averaged 1.7 points per game when he's been involved since his arrival in 2023, compared to just 1.1 without him. Chelsea were beaten 2-1 by Sunderland at Stamford Bridge last week, meaning they have lost 3 of their last 5 Premier League matches, winning 2 to sit 9th. That is more defeats than they suffered in their previous 16 games in the competition, winning 10, drawing 4, losing 2, and they now could lose 4 times within their opening 10 matches. They have only done so twice in the last 30 seasons, in 2015-16 and 2023-24. Like Spurs, Chelsea tend to fare better on the road, winning 4 of their last 7 away Premier League matches, drawing 1, losing 2, following an 8-match winless run on their travels. However, the Blues' 2 away wins this season have both come against managers who are no longer in the Premier League, 5-1 against Graham Potter's West Ham and 3-0 against Postecoglou's Nottingham Forest. Spurs are missing a number of players, with James Maddison, Dejan Kulusevski, Dominic Solanke, Archie Gray, Destiny Udogie, Ben Davis, Yves Bissouma, and Radu Dragusin all ruled out through injury. Wilson Odobert could feature, though, after missing the loss to Newcastle with a side strain. Chelsea will still be without Cole Palmer on Saturday, but João Pedro, Pedro Neto, Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, and Marc Cucurella should return to their lineup after being benched at Molineux in midweek. Maresca has called for patience as his young team develops, and excluding own goals, Chelsea's last 101 Premier League goals have all been scored by players under the age of 30, the eighth longest run in Premier League history. Tottenham versus Chelsea head-to-head. Spurs have won just one of their last 13 Premier League games against Chelsea, drawing 2, losing the last 4 in a row since a 2-0 home victory in February 2023 when Christian Stellini was filling in for Antonio Conte in the dugout. Other than that defeat, Chelsea have won on 5 of their 6 Premier League trips to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the most wins by any visiting side in the competition. Frank has lost just 2 of his 8 Premier League games against Chelsea, all with Brentford, winning 3, drawing 3. However, all 3 of his victories against them have come at Stamford Bridge, with the Dane winless in his 4 home games versus the Blues. Delanceur from Goal.com. Antonio Conte and Lautaro Martinez were embroiled in an ugly spat as the manager and the striker exchanged insults during an explosive Serie A clash between Napoli and Inter on Saturday. The reigning champions emerged victorious 3-1 in a closely fought encounter as they climbed back to the top of the table and now enjoy a 1-point lead over AC Milan at the summit. Scott McTominay, who was Serie A's Player of the Season in his debut campaign in Italy, finally found his scoring boots as he found the back of the net in Napoli's 3-1 win against Inter on Saturday night. McTominay scored Napoli's Serie A opener against the Swallow, but since then, he has gone 5 games in the league without a goal. His form has started to pick up since the Champions League clash against PSV earlier this week, as he scored a brace in the club's 6-2 drubbing. McTominay was also joined on the scoresheet by former Premier League rival Kevin De Bruyne, who opened the scoring for the Serie A champions in the 33rd minute from the penalty spot. This was the Manchester City legend's 4th league goal in 8 appearances thus far, but he had to go off after sustaining an injury while taking his kick. Conte and Martinez exchanged insults. The talking point of the heated clash between the 2 Italian giants, however, was the ugly spat between Napoli boss Conte and Inter captain and star forward Lautaro Martinez. The incident happened around the hour mark when an argument was sparked between the 2 sets of players. The fight soon escalated and reached the reserve benches as Martinez and Conte were spotted exchanging insults. The Argentina international was spotted pointing at the Italian manager and making a gesture as to say, "You are shitting yourself." In response, the Napoli manager, via Daniele Marie, said, "Wrap your laughing gear around this," and gestured towards his crotch. Right before the fight broke out, the Nerazzurri had staged a comeback after Hakan Çalhanoğlu reduced the margin by scoring from the spot. Earlier, De Bruyne and McTominay had handed the hosts a 2-0 lead. Frank Anguissa later scored the 3rd goal in the 66th minute to secure all 3 points for his club. This is not the first time that Conte and Martinez have clashed during a game. In Conte's final year in charge of Inter in the 2020-2021 campaign, the manager had substituted the Inter forward in a move that angered the striker, who kicked a bottle on the touchline. Conte did not approve of the gesture made by the forward as he charged at Martinez and asked him to shut up. The incident sparked quite a controversy, although Inter players came up with a hilarious solution to make an amicable settlement between the duo, as days later, during a training session, they made the manager and the player wear boxing gloves and fight it out in a mock knockout encounter. De Bruyne injury a worry. Despite a crucial win against title contenders Inter, Napoli were left sweating over De Bruyne's condition as the veteran Belgian midfielder was spotted hobbling off the pitch with a worrying-looking injury. Shortly after he converted the penalty that handed Napoli the lead in the first half, De Bruyne pulled up clutching his right thigh and was visibly tearful as he was helped off the field by Napoli staff. The 34-year-old, who joined Napoli earlier this year from City, has a history of hamstring problems. While the extent of his injury remains uncertain at the moment, De Bruyne will be assessed in the coming days and will be desperately hoping the injury isn't too serious. The talismanic midfield star will be needed back as quickly as possible, given the Italian giants' packed schedule in the coming weeks. Before the November international break, Napoli face Lecce, Como, and Bologna, and will also host Eintracht Frankfurt in the Champions League.